welcome to Two Opinions and a Cloud. And who's our cloud today?
Well, you're the opinion, so it must be me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You may recognize him. Dan Holme here from the SharePoint product team. You want to introduce yourself for those who may not recognize you?
Sure. Well, you stole my thunder. My name is in fact Dan
Well,
Holme.
and honestly, I have to tell you, who doesn't know who Dan Holme is?
Fred Walker doesn't know who Dan Holme is. Inside joke. But,
Okay, I was going to say, well,
Dan Holme, Director of Product Marketing for SharePoint, Yammer, and Microsoft Stream.
wow, you're a busy
Awesome.
man.
Yeah, 3 great products.
Yeah, so you must have lots of Yammer groups keeping up with all that.
I have lots of Yammer groups, lots of teams, lots of SharePoint sites,
I can imagine.
and lots of email.
Yeah. So we're here at SharePoint Saturday, Colorado, which you just kicked off with an amazing keynote.
Thank you.
I did the geeky, nerdy thing, and I sat in the front row.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
It's
problem.
nice to have a familiar face in the front row.
No problem. So I was geeking out, but can you tell everybody else why we were all geeking out in your keynote?
Yeah, we were showing the latest innovations for SharePoint. We talked about news and how you can now create these amazing, beautiful pages to send people updates or communicate information, and you can get that information to the right people, the right audiences, across the organization, across devices, and even into whatever tools they happen to live in. So whether they live in email, live in Teams, live on mobile, you can keep them informed and up to date. So we did a real deep dive into what we call organizational news in SharePoint, and then we looked at what we're doing for sites to make them even more powerful as a way of sharing vision, knowledge, resources, and services at either the microsite level or rolled up into hubs, or really at the sort of top level of creating an amazing company portal.
That's awesome. So something that really rung with me out of your keynote, you were talking a bit about how SharePoint, we used to think of it as this kind of siloed nature where SharePoint is a product, still will continue to be a product, don't get us wrong there, but how we can start to access SharePoint from different areas and integrate with different products. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, totally. I think it's one of the big changes for people who are experienced with SharePoint, like you guys are.
Yeah.
Where on-prem you had SharePoint, you had Exchange, you had Link, and basically everyone knew what Exchange and Link were for. Everything else was SharePoint. It's like if it had to be built or stored or customized, all collaboration was on SharePoint.
Yep.
And now in the cloud, it's not just that we took SharePoint Server and put it in the cloud. We integrated all of the services into, I like to talk about weaving a tapestry of incredible new experiences. So you no longer have to go to SharePoint to get SharePoint's power. There are still things that SharePoint is the best at, but we bring in other capabilities. And there are things that SharePoint is the best at, like, let's say, storing files.
Right.
Where now when you go to Teams and you click the Files tab in Teams, that actually is SharePoint.
Right.
Or if you are in... if you're taking advantage of our files restore capability, your system gets crushed by ransomware.
Yeah.
Windows Defender kicks in and says, "Hey, your files have been encrypted," and you go to restore. That's actually Windows going through OneDrive to talk to files that are stored in SharePoint and roll them back.
Yeah.
And it's seamless to the user. It's just one-click restore. Hey, my files are back. But behind the scenes, all these things have been woven together to create that capability.
Yeah, and it's not just that there's like individual communication streams going back and forth. We've got the whole Microsoft graph with all these products talking to each other in a unified framework.
Yeah, exactly.
What I like is the fact that it's all working together and it's so quick.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if it was a slow process where people are like, well, it's either in this process or it's at this part, it's at this part, you don't even have the opportunity to even think it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it a lot easier. One of the other things that really stood out for me in your session is where you start talking about the leadership, making it easy for leadership to be involved and stuff like that. From my opinion, based off of where things came from and how they are now, is Satya behind a lot of making sure that leadership is involved in growing that side of it? Or is it more our culture always wanting leadership involved?
I think there's a bit of both. So I think the world as a whole right now for business has changed so much in the last 20 years. 20 years ago, we still could get by with what were really industrial revolution organizational architecture, where it was very hierarchical, information was passed down on a need-to-know basis, and in the last 20 years, everything's been disrupted. Digital disruption is real, and companies have to adapt to that by making sure that information flows as quickly inside their company as it does outside. That means working like a network, engaging directly, not just top to bottom, but left to right, bottom up. And leaders are just as likely today to say to me that they want to talk to their workforce as they are to say, I want to listen to my workforce. And so we're really providing a set of capabilities with Yammer, particularly enhanced with Stream and SharePoint, to enable leaders to engage directly with employees, to create a sense of transparency and open dialogue. And Satya has really modeled that. So in Microsoft, we've gone through this incredible cultural transformation ourselves over the last few years. It started when our senior leadership team identified what our mission, our ambitions, our worldview, and needed to find a way to communicate that at scale to 110,000 employees worldwide. And they turned to our own technologies and started using these capabilities, found they were extremely effective in turning this very big ship to a whole new direction. Because in the end, it's not the technology that matters in digital transformation; it's the people.
Right.
And this is the part where the two meet.
Yeah.
Right.
People definitely make technology work.
Yeah.
Right. It's
So, from the people perspective, as we're talking about all these different platforms and different solutions, not platforms, solutions that people can use within the 365 ecosystem, we're hearing a lot from those standard IT admins who have too much on their belts and the organizational change management people of, okay, so what do I tell my users to use?
Yep.
Like, my SharePoint data now is clearly exposed through Teams. It's exposed to the SharePoint web URL. It's exposed through OneDrive files on demand. Like,
Sure.
what do I tell my users to do? Like, it's too much to handle.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those kind of questions?
I think it depends a little bit on where the customer's at. But let's just say someone came to me today and said, I'm going to start planning an event. Which tool should I use? Teams.
Yeah.
Teams is where teams work to deliver projects, to deliver efforts. So Teams is the place where that team can get together and bring all their tools into one place, so they're not having to go to tool A and then find the event, and tool B and then find their work, and tool C and find their work. It's just all right there, and they can have conversation intertwined with their files and their tools. Once they're done planning, they need to then tell the rest of the organization about this event.
Yeah.
And that's where a SharePoint communication site really lets them shine to the rest of the organization. So they can create a communication site that has all the information anyone outside needs to know about the event. And then they can engage that external audience in their organization with Yammer to get ideas, feedback, create a discussion. So I like to, in some ways, I like to use a metaphor where Teams is the sausage making, and SharePoint and Yammer are the sausage selling.
Yeah.
And then OneDrive is just, how do I get to my files?
Yeah.
If I can find them in Teams, but if I have lots of Teams and I want to just see all my files, OneDrive is how I do it. OneDrive lets me see all the files from all those teams and my personal files.
Yeah, and not just to easily get to your files, but get to your files from anywhere.
Yeah, every device. And I tell you, OneDrive on mobile I use every single day.
I do too. On my way here, I was in the at the hotel. They gave me a ride over because they were dropping some others off, right? And I'm like on my phone pulling up a file and updating it, and I sent it to a client, and I was like, wait a minute, I just did that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, on your phone. It's amazing.
On my phone.
And this ties into the tapestry story that you're putting together, that every tool has its place. And I think there is something to end user choice as well.
Yeah.
During your keynote, I was in the back. I wasn't with Stacy, but I had a unique view because there was somebody, I'm guessing somebody local, who was sitting a couple rows in front of me, and I saw her on her computer, and she was taking notes in Word Online within the Teams client.
Nice.
And you know what?
Hero.
That works for her. I personally would have had OneNote for Windows 10 open. But there's nothing wrong with these different solutions and providing them to end users to say, we'll help you, but whatever works best for you.
Yep,
well, I think it's company specific too. There's a lot of different things that you can use, and if you can specialize and say, we're going to use Word in this, anticipation, because we don't want to add one note, because that's one more thing we have to train people on. And it depends on the size of the companies too, about how much you really put out there and train people on so they're all using the same type of tools.
Yeah, and it's interesting to this point. I have two thoughts. One is we have two types of customers. We have customers who say, I want as little choice as possible, which tool should I use? The vast majority of our customers that I would consider to be on the bleeding edge of digital transformation are completely the opposite. They're like, whatever tools users want to use. We'll do a quick sanction if they want to use, anything in Office, if they want to go out and get blah, blah, blah competitor tools, go bananas.
Yep.
As long as they can get their work done and we've done enough validation of those tools. So we have two types of customers that are on opposite ends of the spectrum. And the second thought, which is more to what you're saying and relates to governance, is I think the most important thing for any team to do is to be intentional about what tools it's going to use, why, and and how. Because I am at Microsoft on many different types of teams that work completely different from each other. But everyone understands why we're working that way, what the problems are that we're trying to solve, what the culture of that particular group of people are. Are they email centric? Are they sort of millennial chat centric?
Yep.
Those kinds of things.
Yeah, I deal with that every day because my mind works the same way. I want to use the cool new tools. I want to see how they work. I want to introduce them to my clients, but I want to introduce things that I know are going to work for them, that aren't going to set them over the edge, and also how to set governance around them so that things just don't get crazy, things become insecure, and people just, they just get very confused, and then user adoption goes down.
Exactly.
My final thought on it is, as IT admins, sometimes we underestimate our users.
Yes, that too.
And yes, Stream, as an IT admin, you may think like, okay, how are we possibly going to use this? I'm struggling to see use case scenarios, but I promise your business users are going to find the business scenarios for you.
Totally.
Right. Well, yeah, we have no idea what they're doing day to day.
No.
Right.
We can't know.
Right.
Otherwise, we would never sleep, right? Which I doubt we all sleep very much anyways. But, we can't know all that, but we know that it is a good tool, but they have to see what works for them.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
This has been Max,
Appreciate it.
Stacy, and Dan.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for your opinions.
Yes.
Oh, and thank you for being in the class.
Join us next time.
Right, thank you.